win the football game.
Welcome to the third edition of the Playbook Podcast. I'm your host, Myer McNall, and my co-hosts are Nick Bentley and Cash Topinka. Make sure you follow the Rocket Productions YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify to keep posted on all of our podcasts. So, first real week of NFL football. Started Sunday.
It's about time.
Yeah, it's about time. We've, there's a lot of upsets this week. Not a lot of tight ends did well this week. No tight ends scored over 10 points other than Isaiah Likely.
Yeah. What? For the Ravens?
Yeah, for the Ravens. But back to NFL scores. Philadelphia won 34-29 against the Green Bay Packers with Jordan Love proving why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL.
Now he's hurt.
And now he's hurt. So we'll see how that pans out. I've heard that he's going to try to come back this week.
No, it wasn't this week. It was like in 2 to 3 weeks.
Or in 2 to 3 weeks. He's going to try to limit that. But I think it's smart just to, take your time off now and then lock in and play.
How about Saquon?
Yeah, Saquon Barkley, 3 touchdowns.
Insane fantasy points.
Insane fantasy points. We'll be talking about him later in the fantasy segment. But Miami against the Jaguars, 20-17. Miami obviously won with Tyreek Hill. Arrested and then touchdown, then got arrested by Jalen Waddle.
He was detained.
Got detained by Jalen Waddle after that too.
Yeah.
Steelers won 18-10 against the Falcons. Cash, heard you watch that game. What do you think about that?
Very boring.
A lot of
Steelers had no offense going for them whatsoever.
A lot of field goals.
Their kicker went crazy, though.
Yeah.
He got a ton of fantasy points.
Justin Fields played well, though, with no touchdowns, but he played pretty well.
You got him in field goal range every time.
Yeah.
But just couldn't convert. Kirk
Cousins looked very immobile in the pocket. He didn't.
One touchdown.
Yeah, to Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is a dog. But I don't know. I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to be that elite level quarterback that we all thought he was.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that pick that they made in the draft isn't going to get clowned as much further into the season. Vikings versus Giants. The Giants looked awful.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings proved that they don't need a quarterback, and Justin Jefferson's just going to do his thing. It doesn't matter if it's Kirk Cousins or Sam Darnold out there. Seattle wins against the Broncos. Bo Nix looked very good in his rookie debut, but Geno Smith didn't look that well. I think Sam Howell should be the starter in there, but I feel like they're just a system. But Cash, heard you watch that one. What did you think of it?
I did turn it off because there was better games on, but I watched most of it. Tyler Lockett didn't do bad, but definitely didn't do good, as good as I think everyone was thinking he was. Geno Smith, I thought he did pretty well.
He did pretty well. DK Metcalf didn't do well. Jason, Tyler Lockett was their best receiver by far this week. Chargers versus the Raiders. Chargers get their win against the Raiders. Devontae Smith looks awful.
Mm-hmm.
Gus Edwards doesn't look good. J.K. Dobbins, though. Comeback season, though. First year being hopefully fully healthy. Yeah. Texans win against the Colts 29-27. Texans prove why C.J. Stroud should be an MVP candidate this year.
Both those teams looked pretty good.
Yeah, the Colts look better than I thought. AR-15 looks very good.
C.J. Stroud, obviously, as you said, is going to do very good this season.
He's going to be an MVP. He's going to.
Joe Mixon went crazy.
Holy. I thought he was going to fall off, I think. I thought he was going to be a new Devin Singletary. But he did really well. The Saints versus the Panthers.
Yeah. Panthers just proved that they should have the number 1 overall pick in the next draft.
The Panthers are god-awful. I had higher expectations for them this year, but I guess not. Saints win 47-10. Derek Carr, 3 throwing touchdowns. There's just not much to say.
Saints defense.
Saints defense, holy. I was actually kind of high on them a little bit.
Was it
I like
Saints
them.
defense or was it Carolina's offense that did?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think that addition to Chase Young over the offseason was pretty good. Bears versus Titans. Bears win 24-17. But holy cow, Caleb Williams looked awful.
Yeah.
Their defense definitely clutched that.
Yeah,
one. And special teams.
Yeah, and special teams. I don't know. I just don't like Caleb Williams. I'm not a Caleb Williams guy. He's just not who I want as my quarterback. He had 93 yards on 29 attempts, 19 completions on 48% with a 23 QBR rating. You're telling me this is the highest rated dude in the draft?
Yeah,
With one of the best, like...
Got me like 7 points in fantasy.
You're telling me he's throwing to Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze? No, just... I think I could go out there and do better. But their punter that Caleb Williams told you won't be on the field much this year, he had double the yards Caleb Williams did. So that's an interesting stat right there. Patriots win 16-10 against the Bengals. Nick, you watched that one? How did you feel about that upset?
Wasn't the upset I was thinking. I thought the Bengals were going to win. But T. Higgins was out, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, T. Higgins was out.
So I thought they had a chance without him, but it looks like Patriots just pulled it through. And the running back for the Patriots, like
Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah. He put on a show basically, and
Joe Burr was pretty cold.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow on fantasy did not live up
Yeah,
there.
he was not good. Bucks win against the Commanders 37-20. Jaden Daniels looked very well in his performance, his rookie debut.
Although he did lose.
Even though they did
But
lose, he
Baker
looked
Mayfield just played lights out. I mean, hold on, let me look at this real quick. He had the most amount of fantasy points ever. Or this week he went 24-30. 289 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 carries for 21 yards, and 37 fantasy points. That's just a crazy stat line. He might be a sleeper MVP pick this year. He's throwing to 2 great receivers. Let's see how that pans out for him.
So that will definitely be a step up in his career.
He went from the savior of the Browns to backup to, taking over Tom Brady's team. Cowboys versus the Browns. Deshaun Watson is so bad. Cowboys won 33-17.
Just the Browns' offensive line. I mean, they were getting to Deshaun Watson every single time.
I know, and
it was hard
and
to
Deshaun
watch.
Watson didn't make it like. I think it was partly his fault too. I mean, they made the Cowboys look great this year, and Cowboys are never good. But Lions win 26-20 against the Rams. Matt Stafford homecoming, couldn't pull it off. Puka Nacua gets hurt. Cooper Kupp shows why he won the Triple Crown receiver a couple years ago. Amon-Ra did nothing, but James Williams did very well. And then 49ers win against the Jets, 32-19. CMC obviously not participating in that game.
I watched that game. It was very hard to watch.
It was hard to watch.
Jets.
But their backup running backs really stepped up, and I think that proves. I don't want to say how CMC isn't a great player. CMC is obviously a great player, but I think that just shows how good the system in San Fran is actually. So week 1 upsets, Steelers against the Falcons. I had the Falcons flying way over them, and then Patriots versus Bengals, obviously. Now to get into college football, K-State versus Tulane. Avery Johnson had 14 completions on 21 attempts for 181 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 75.5 QBR rating, which I'm not complaining about that performance, just not Avery Johnson numbers that I know of. Dylan Edwards, 4 rushes for 53 yards, 1 touchdown, 13 yards per carry. DJ Giddens had 19 rushes for 144 yards with a long of 61 and 6 yards per carry. Yeah, so K-State's looking well. I mean, Tulane, obviously not one of the best opponents we're going to face, but they
you guys
weren't
almost lost.
You guys lost.
Okay, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, but not the best opponent we're going to face, but they definitely weren't bad. I feel like they're going to win their conference, so I feel like that's a good win for us. Nick now talking about KU, who lost, by the way.
Okay. Well, Illinois quarterback Luke Altimer, I don't know how to say his last name, sorry. Was 16 for 25, had 195 yards, an average of 7.7, with 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and had a QBR rating of 70.7. Their rushing, Caden Vegan, 16 carries, 40 yards, an average of 2.5 with 1 touchdown. Receiving, Zakari, I don't know how to say his name. Franklin had 9 receptions, 99 yards, an average of 11, 0 touchdowns though. Their kicker, David Oleno, was the main show for Illinois. Was 3 for 3 on field goals, longest was 50 yards, and had 11 points for them.
50 yards in college is pretty impressive.
Yeah, Jalen Daniels was 18 for 32, had 141 yards, an average of 4.4, with 2 touchdowns.
That's almost worse than Caleb Williams.
But 3 interceptions.
3 interceptions.
Had a QBR rating of 32.4.
Hold on, read those stats again. I'll read Caleb Williams' stats real quick. Let's see who did worse. Caleb Williams had 93 yards. How many did he have?
141.
Okay, so he had more. Caleb Williams had 29 attempts.
32.
Caleb Williams had 19 completions.
18.
Okay. 48% from 48% of his throws actually got caught. How many?
Not for sure.
Okay. You didn't do that, man. But Caleb Williams played worse. But Caleb Williams didn't throw an interception.
True.
He threw
Jalen
3.
Daniels threw 3.
I don't know how you can be a fan of them. When we get back from commercial break, we'll be talking about the top 10 players in fantasy football this week. Barron Concrete has been working locally and commercially in the Roseville area since 1980. They've been a part of major projects in the Roseville area that have helped shape the community we know of today. If you have any questions, please contact them. They're open Monday through Friday. Their phone number is 316-618-6087 or on their website, barronconcrete.com. And now, word from our other sponsors.
I don't know how to get the percentage.
Oh, that's fine.
I'll get it next week, though.
That's
You
fine.
didn't want me to talk about Oklahoma State.
Huh?
We don't got
Just
time.
talk trash.
Yeah. What time is it? All right, let's go. Lock in. All right. Welcome back to the Playbook Podcast. We're going to be talking about the top 10 players in fantasy football. Now, number 1, I've already said, Baker Mayfield going 24 for 30, 289 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 carries, and 21 yards with 37 fantasy points. He was on my bench. I think he was on everyone's bench. But Superman Josh Allen coming in at number 2, 18 on 23 completions, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9 carries for 39 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. But he did have 1 fumble. And have you seen that? Did you see the video of him jumping over the goal line, hitting that defender?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, he's unreal. He had 34 fantasy points. Then Saquon Barkley. Cash, would you like to tell us about him?
He had 24 carries for only 109 yards, which wasn't as good as his fantasy points. But he had 2 touchdowns and 2 receptions for 23 yards and 1 receiving touchdown. So 3 combined touchdowns.
For 33 points?
Yeah.
I'll take that any day of the week. Since you watched the game, Nick, would you like to tell us about Jaden Reed?
Jaden Reed had 1 carry, 33 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 for 6 receptions, 138 yards with 1 touchdown and 33 points. Maybe I should have just traded with you.
Yeah, you should have done that trade.
But then, what's going to happen later, though? And do you think he's going to perform like that?
We'll see. Only time will tell.
I guess.
I withdrew that deal immediately, though. Coming in at number 5, Cooper Kupp, 2 carries for 10 yards, 14 on 21 receiving, 110 yards, 1 touchdown, and 32 points. Most of those coming in off receptions, but hey, you got to do what you got to do. So he had a lot of short-term games. And then our third quarterback on the list, coming in at number 6, Anthony Richardson, 9 of 19 completions. That's a little bit of a red flag for me.
Mm-hmm.
Only completed 9 passes throughout the game, but 9 passes
Interception.
with an interception. But the only green flag is 212 yards on 9 attempts. That's crazy. 6 carries for 56 yards and 1 touchdown for 30 points. Then sleeper of the week, Derek Carr, coming in at 19 of 23 completions, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 carries, and 27 points. Now, this is where the list gets a little weird. The Bears defense coming in at number 8. 2 interceptions, 17 points allowed, 244 yards allowed, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 2 touchdowns, and then 1 block.
Yeah, and that's all in the second half, basically.
All in the second half, basically, for 27 fantasy points. And then Alan Lazard. How does Alan Lazard get on this list? 6 and 9 receptions, 89 yards for 2 touchdowns for 26 fantasy points. That's just insane. Like, Alan Lazard. When was the last time you heard that name?
Not in a while.
And then Joe Mixon. He had 30 carries, 159 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 of 3 receptions for 19 yards, and then 26 fantasy points. Joe Mixon comeback season, I guess. I was sleeping on him. I didn't like him this year, but I guess he's proven everyone wrong. Cash, do you think there's anyone that should have made this list?
I don't think the Chiefs played as well as I think everyone thought they were going to do. That was a very intense game, though. I thought both teams played very well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lamar Jackson probably should be on this list. But
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Playbook Podcast. Hope to see you next week, and thank you for watching.